You know that price tag on your favorite shirt? It's not just a number. It's actually the final chapter in a long, pretty complicated story that involves factories, shipping, and some really clever psychology. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover that secret story.
I mean, it seems so simple, right? But that final price is like a battlefield. You've got the cost of materials, shipping fees, complex business strategies, and even government rules, all wrestling with each other to decide that one number you pay. So how does it all actually come together?
All right, to understand any price, we have to start with two core ideas: what a store pays for an item and what they charge you for it. This simple relationship is, well, it's the engine that drives all of commerce.
Think about it. Before a shop can sell you anything, they have to buy it themselves. That initial purchase price is what we call the cost price, or CP for short. It's the seller's starting investment in that product.
Okay, so this is the price you and I see when we're deciding whether to buy something. The selling price, or SP, is what the customer actually pays for the item at the register, and it's the relationship between these two prices where things get really interesting.
This is the fundamental balancing act of any business. If the selling price is higher than the cost price, hey, the business makes a profit. But if they have to sell for less than what they paid, well, that's a loss. It's the difference between ending the day in the black or in the red.
But, if it were just about buying low and selling high, business would be a piece of cake. In reality, that initial cost price is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole bunch of hidden costs that get added along the way.
These are called overhead expenses. I'm talking about things like shipping that product from a factory, storing it in a warehouse, or maybe paying an employee to pack it. Every single step on that journey costs money, and those costs all get bundled into the seller's total investment. So, to figure out what an item really costs the seller, you start with the actual price they paid for it. Then you add in all those overheads, and what you get is the total cost price. This is the number they absolutely have to beat to make any profit at all. Let's make this real for a second. Our source material gives us this great example of a shopkeeper named Raju. He buys an article for 6,500 rupees, but then he has to pay another 700 rupees just for transport to get it to his shop. So what's the minimum he has to sell it for just to break even?
That's right, it's 7,200 rupees. That's his total cost price. He needs to sell that thing for more than 7,200 just to make a single rupee of profit. See how those hidden costs can completely change the game?
All right, let's switch gears. We've been looking at this from the seller's side. Now let's talk about what we see in the store. We're talking about the price on the tag, and that magic word every shopper loves to hear: discount.
You know that price printed right on the tag? That's what we call the marked price, or MP. This is kind of like the seller's ideal selling price, their opening offer, if you will. But as we all know, that's rarely the final price we pay. And that's because of discounts. A discount is just a price reduction that's offered on the marked price. And sellers use them for all sorts of reasons, maybe to clear out old inventory, to compete during a big sale, or sometimes just to get more people to walk in the door.
And here is the golden rule you have to remember. A discount is always calculated based on the marked price, not the costs, not anything else. Your final selling price is simply that sticker price minus whatever the discount is.
But here's where pricing gets a little tricky. Let me ask you something. If a store offers you a 10% discount and then another 20% on top of that, is that a 30% discount? I mean, it really seems like it should be, right?
Nope, it's actually a 28% discount. So why is that? It's because the second discount is calculated on the new, lower price after you already took the first discount. So if an item is 100 rupees, that first 10% off makes it 90. Then the 20% comes off of the 90, not the original 100. It's a clever bit of math to keep in mind.
We are so close to the end of our journey, but there's one final player who steps in right at the checkout counter. Yeah, let's talk about tax.
So why do we even have sales tax? Well, governments use that money to fund public services. The roads we drive on, the hospitals we might visit, and other programs that benefit everyone. The tax on your purchase is really your small contribution to that whole system.
Now, in many places, like India, for example, this whole process has been streamlined into a single tax called the Goods and Services Tax, or GST. The whole idea is to create a uniform tax system across the entire country, which just makes things a lot simpler for everyone.
Essentially, the GST system is just a way to direct where the tax money goes. If you buy something locally, within your own state, the tax gets split between the central and the state governments.
But if you buy something from another state, it's just a single integrated tax that's collected by the central government. It's really just an accounting system to make sure the right folks get the funds.
So, we've looked at all the individual pieces of the puzzle. Now, let's put them all together and trace the full journey of a price tag, from a warehouse shelf all the way to your final receipt.
And here it is, the entire timeline. A seller buys an item at its cost price. Then they add on all those overheads to find their true cost. From there, they set a higher marked price. They might offer you a discount, which creates the selling price. And finally, the government adds tax, and you get your final bill. It's like a 5-step financial chain reaction.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that the final price you pay is never just a random number. It's a story about economics, strategy, and even our civic duty, all condensed into that one single figure on your receipt.
So, now you're in on the secret. The next time you're out shopping and you see a 50% off sign, or you glance at your final bill, what are you going to be seeing that you didn't see before?